Saving for retirement is a vital part of any employee's financial plans, but it is far from the only money commitment for any of us. In this third episode of REBA's Pensions podcast, in association with Scottish Widows, we explore how employers can integrate pensions into a wider financial wellbeing strategy. I'm Maggie Williams, Content Director of REBA, and I'm joined today by Joanne Fairbairn, Head of Pensions at Marks & Spencer, Ross Matthews, Director of Pensions and Benefits Europe at Centrica, Ian Hodson, Head of Reward and Deputy Director of HR at University of Lincoln, and Robert Cochran, Retirement Expert at Scottish Widows. An important starting point for financial wellbeing is defining exactly what that means for your organisation, says Joanne Fairbairn.
Financial wellbeing is about being able to make informed decisions about money that can help you move to a position of financial security. Key to that is being informed and also then being able to create financial security. I see saving for later life as being fundamental to being able to give you financial security, and making informed decisions about whether you're saving the right amount is really important to achieving that financial security and giving you that sense of control as you are on the path towards retirement, which ultimately will help to reduce stress, which is what financial well-being is all about. And I think if you keep pensions separate from the day-to-day finances, which often get grouped into the financial well-being umbrella, then the risk is that you don't factor the thought process of how much you can afford to put into your pension savings. You don't look at it in favour of what your everyday priorities are. It's human nature for us to think about what we need to spend on a day-to-day basis and what our priorities are at any particular time. So we might have debts that we're having to pay off. We might be trying to save for a mortgage. We might have childcare costs because we've got young families. And we need to accommodate that alongside having an underpin of pension savings throughout our life.
Employers' decisions on how involved they get with employees' personal finances will determine the shape of any financial wellbeing strategy and its impact on the business. Ross Matthews of Centrica explains more.
From a business point of view, if you look at the two ends of the spectrum, one is we really want to do everything we can to support our people on financial wellbeing. We believe that's our duty. And the other end of the spectrum is, of course, we don't think that's our responsibility, that's the individual. Now, employers will sit somewhere in that spectrum, as do we, and we're still defining exactly where we want to be on that. But what we do know is we care about our people, and we really do, and that's at the forefront of our minds. We want to do what's best for them, and that includes supporting them with their financial well-being. It also makes good business sense to do so, because there's lots of evidence out there that well-being and stress and anxiety obviously impacts absence and also productivity and presenteeism. So it makes good business sense as well to make sure we address that stress. And also it's a great opportunity to bring engagement into the overall reward offering to make sure we're able to retain talent and people realise how valuable those benefits are. So we believe it is one of our key pillars, if you like, of our wellbeing strategy. And we regularly engage with our business units, so our customer-facing business units, to get feedback from them about what parts of our wellbeing strategy and financial strategy they think would best suit the needs of their people and ultimately to serve their customers best.
But it's impossible to ignore the immediate and longer-term effects of the coronavirus crisis on employees' finances. Ian Hodson explains how University of Lincoln has responded very quickly to the changing situation.
Pensions are often looked at as the end point of financial planning during your working life, but they're often the most neglected because of this. But the problem is with pensions, it's very hard to make up for lost time at the end of the journey. So I think, the spotlight that this situation has created is that there's now very much, a need that pensions do form a much more significant part of that financial life cycle and how it intrinsically links together with all the other aspects that we have. So at the end of this, and as we come out the other side of this, what organisations will be doing is we'll be looking at that whole spectrum of financial well-being. We've seen the impact that a scenario like this can have on your financial planning, that for those at the end of their financial work journey, that they may have had a massive impact. And sometimes that focus then reappears, that we need to make sure that people understand pensions and longer term financial planning, and have got resilience within that if these situations happen, we understand what decisions and actions need to be taken. We've incorporated our financial education and wellbeing into something which we've called Home Hub, which has been a microsite for wellbeing support for individuals who are working from home. And on the financial side, we have a section which is called Finance Well, which has got in there, videos, articles, colleague quotes, and self-assessment planning tools. I think we can always do more to support, but we're quite buoyed by the fact that we've managed to turn this piece of work around so quickly, and it's very much risen to the top of the agenda, where we haven't got people who can drop into our workshops or drop into the department to receive that support about how do we make it accessible. And we're keen that this has longevity, and it will continue to support people who work more remotely, who can't access these tools. It's been very much for us about trying to react, trying to get communications out, and trying to to keep some reality of the situation. And as I said, I think we're seeing the extremes of scenarios. For some individuals, they're being placed in financial difficulties through how they're being impacted as a family. But equally, we've got the other extreme of the spectrum of individuals actually saying, well, I've actually got more disposable income at the minute because they're not spending it on holidays or going away or commuting to work. And they want to find ways of making that money work for them, and joining the workplace ISA scheme or doing an AVC. So really, I think what it's done is it's created that spectrum for us of different levels of support needed, which just means that we've had to diversify the offering from the extremities have become much further apart at the moment.
But where does a broader picture of financial well-being leave pensions, which have historically often been separate from other financial workplace benefits? Robert Cochran of Scottish Widows leaves us with some thoughts for the future.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. So workplace pension schemes have traditionally operated in a silo. So your workplace pension was something which was standalone. And I think over the longer term, we'll see that becoming less of a silo and more part of a financial ecosystem. And again, if I think about things that are changing just now, so we see Nest and the government pioneering the sidecar savings schemes. So that's trying to take the auto-enrollment model and build that into creating a safety net for people. So, that's kind of, again, another element in that let's try and provide people's finances in the round. Pensions are part of that, but they're not all of it. Lifetime ISA, likewise, pensions, property, and savings vehicle. So I think workplace pensions will have a key role to play, but they'll become broader than just pension schemes. They'll become gateways into a wider array of financial products. And I know that's been available for a while and hasn't really taken off. But by building a brilliant user experience, taking all the friction out of it, and then connecting it into bank accounts, then it will become a much more compelling proposition to help manage people's finances throughout their life.
Thank you very much to all of my guests in this episode. If you'd like to hear some more from Joanne, Ross and Robert about pensions in this series, you can listen to the previous episodes and also explore our webinar series for further insights at www.reba.global.